What's up guys, welcome back to the NetWise channel. The January transfer window is officially open, and as always, it's already causing chaos across the Premier League. Phones are ringing, agents are busy, and clubs up and down the table are scrambling to strengthen their squads. Whether it's Arsenal and Manchester City trying to sharpen their title push, or clubs like Wolves, West Ham, and others fighting for survival, one thing is guaranteed: money will be spent. But today, we're not just talking about who's spending this January. Instead, we're asking a bigger question. Which Premier League managers have spent the most money under their current reigns? Because nothing says backed by the board quite like a massive transfer budget. So let's break it all down, manager by manager. At number 1 we have Pep Guardiola of Manchester City. To absolutely nobody's surprise, sitting comfortably at the top of this list is Pep Guardiola. Since arriving at Manchester City back in 2016, Pep has overseen a net spend of €1.03 billion, and yes, that's after accounting for player sales. That's over €1 billion spent shaping City into one of the most dominant teams football has ever seen. And to be fair to Pep, the results speak for themselves. Multiple Premier League titles. Domestic dominance. And of course, a Champions League trophy. City haven't just spent big, they've spent smart. Pep's era has redefined how a modern superclub is built. Coming in second we have Mikel Arteta at Arsenal. Since taking over in late 2019, Arteta has overseen a massive €899 million rebuild at the Emirates. What makes this really interesting is that Arteta is only about €131 million behind Pep Guardiola, despite being in the job for 3 fewer years. That tells you just how aggressively Arsenal have backed their project. From rebuilding the culture, clearing out deadwood, and investing in young talent, Arsenal's rise back into title contention hasn't happened by accident. This is a club that fully committed to a long-term vision, and put serious money behind it. In third place, we have Eddie Howe at Newcastle United. Since taking charge in 2021, Howe's net spend sits at around €463 million. Now, while that's less than half of Arsenal's total, it's still a huge number, the third highest in the Premier League. And this is where opinions start to split. Some fans point to Newcastle's progress, Champions League qualification, improved squad depth, and stability. Others argue that with nearly €500 million spent, Newcastle should be consistently challenging for the top 4 by now. Either way, the investment has been massive, and expectations will only continue to rise. Next up is Arne Slot, Liverpool's new man. Despite only being in his second season, Slot already ranks 4th with a net spend of €258 million. That puts him ahead of several managers who've been in the league much longer. Liverpool clearly saw the need for a refresh, especially after the end of the Klopp era, and they haven't hesitated to spend to stay competitive. So far, Slot has been trusted and backed. Just behind Slot is Ruben Amorim at Manchester United. Since arriving at Old Trafford late last year, United have already spent €208 million under his watch. That tells you 2 things. United are once again rebuilding. And the pressure is already on. When you spend that much that quickly, results aren't optional. Now here's an interesting one. Tottenham boss Thomas Frank jumps all the way into 6th place, thanks to Spurs' €168 million net spend this season alone. That's a serious show of faith from the Spurs board. Tottenham clearly believe Frank is the man to lead a new era, and the money suggests they're all in. Some of the mid-table surprises are Moyes, Maresca and Emery. Since returning to Everton in January 2025, Moyes has a net spend of €117 million, showing Everton's attempt to stabilise and rebuild. Right behind him is Chelsea boss Enzo Maresca, who has since been released of his duties as Chelsea's boss, though he had a surprisingly low net spend of €116 million. That might shock some people, but it highlights just how many players Chelsea have sold during his tenure. And perhaps the biggest surprise of all is Unai Emery. Aston Villa's net spend under Emery since late 2022 is just €47 million, which makes Villa's rise even more impressive when you consider how well they've performed. The low spenders and profit makers amongst the managers also exist. Wolves boss Rob Edwards has a net spend of just €7.5 million, mainly due to a future deal for Ladislav Krejci. And here's where things get really interesting. 3 Premier League managers have actually made profits in the transfer market. Daniel Farke at Leeds, plus €22 million. Oliver Glasner at Crystal Palace, plus €27.6 million. Keith Andrews at Brentford, plus €56.6 million, despite only taking over this season. Making money while staying competitive? That's elite management. So there you have it, a full breakdown of Premier League managers ranked by net transfer spend. Big money doesn't always guarantee success, but it definitely raises expectations. Now I want to hear from you. Which manager do you think has spent the money best? And who's underachieving given their budget? If you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button, subscribe for more football analysis and predictions, and I'll see you in the next one.